Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. Today's webinar is the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services for students heading to college. So we are excited about today's topic. We do want to go over a little bit of housekeeping for the day. During this presentation, please feel free to use the chat box to communicate directly with the panelists or the Q&A box. Since this is a webinar, we cannot see or hear you. So we will ask that you put any questions that you have in the chat or the Q&A. All right, so while we're waiting for everyone to get in, we are going to launch a poll. So our poll today, the question is, what are the main resources provided by the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services? And the answers there are help for Mississippians with disabilities finding new careers, help for Mississippians to live more independently, help for Mississippians to overcome obstacles and face new challenges, or all of the above. And I see answers are coming in. All right, so we have about 16 responses right now, and it looks like everybody got the answer right. It is actually all of the above, helping Mississippians with disabilities find new careers, helping Mississippians live more independently, and helping Mississippians to overcome obstacles and face new challenges. So we'll hear about that shortly as we begin our webinar. So thank you for participating in that poll. All right, so again, welcome to the webinar. I am Shannon Grimsley, Assistant Director of External Training and Partnerships for the Woodward Hines Education Foundation and the Get to College program. We are recording today's session and we'll send a link to anyone who is registered. For those watching the recording, today's date is February the 4th, 2025, and the material in this webinar is current through the 24-25 school year. In today's session, Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services for students heading to college, we will share information about all of the great services that the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services can offer for students heading to and currently enrolled in college. I will now share a little background on Get to College and a few logistics about the webinar before we begin. Get to College is a nonprofit program of the Woodward Hines Education Foundation. We have 3 centers in Mississippi, one in Jackson, Ocean Springs, and South Haven, and we help parents, students, and high school counselors with all aspects of the college planning and financial aid process. And all of our services are completely free. In our centers, we offer personalized college counseling appointments where we can tell students when to apply for admission and scholarships, help fill out their FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, or advise on essay writing and interviewing. As we mentioned earlier, during the webinar, we cannot see or hear you, but you can ask us questions at any time through the Q&A or chat. Kirsten Dufour, my coworker, will be monitoring and replying to the Q&A today, and we will also have time for live Q&A for the presenters at the end, but feel free to drop your questions in there at any time, and we will address all of those questions. All right, so I would now like to introduce our guest speakers for the day. Our first speaker is Tamika Chenault. Tamika began her career with MDRS as a VR counselor in 2002, working with transition-age students and the general population. Years later, she began working with clients who were hard of hearing. Through her passion of learning and sharing her knowledge with peers, she was promoted to Deputy District Manager in 2013. Tamika worked in that capacity until being promoted to post-secondary education and training coordinator in 2022. Throughout her career with VR, she has enjoyed the training aspects of her job and working with the staff to prepare them for working with clients with disabilities. Holds a bachelor's degree in psychology from MUW and a master's in counseling from MSU. On January the 21st, she celebrated her 23rd year, wow, with MDRS. In her spare time, she enjoys being with her family and friends. Welcome, Tamika. Our second presenter of the day is Aricia Brown. Aricia received a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology from the University of Southern Mississippi in 2009 and a Master of Science in Continuing Education in Counseling and Psychology from the University of West Alabama in 2012. She is currently working toward obtaining a education specialist degree from Jackson State University. Aricia began her professional career in the mental health field by providing case management and therapeutic services to individuals and their families. She later furthered her professional career with the Mississippi Department of Rehabilitation Services in the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation in March of 2012 as a transition counselor. Throughout her career at MDRS, Aricia has held several positions such as a vocational rehabilitation counselor for adults, regional training team member, and deputy district manager. Aricia was recently promoted in March of 22 to the Transition and Youth Career Services Program Coordinator. She is currently serving the state by providing assistance to students with disabilities as they prepare to transition out of high school to the world of work and/or post-secondary education. She is also a current member of the Rehabilitation Association of Mississippi. When Aricia is not working to ensure students with disabilities receive quality services in order to live as independently as possible, you can find her doing what she loves the most, spending time with her husband and their 4 children. The thing Aricia enjoys most is assisting students with disabilities is creating opportunities for students to succeed. Seeing them grow and reach their full potential is a top goal for Aricia. My motivation comes from knowing that I have the opportunity to make a difference on a much larger scale and every day doing what I love. So welcome. I think Aricia is having a little bit of some technical difficulties, but she should be in very shortly. So we are going to start this thing off with you, Tamika. So I am going to turn the presentation over to you. All right, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
There you
Good
go.
morning. All right. Thank you so much, Shannon, for the introduction, and welcome to everyone. I'm excited you all have decided to log on today to hear about Mississippi Department of Rehab Services and all the wonderful services that we offer. I know our topic today is students heading to college, but I kind of wanted to give you all some information, the background, the foundation about the Department of Rehab Services leading up to and through transition services into post-secondary education services. Again, what we're going to talk about today are the stages of the vocational rehab process, the roles and strategies employed by the professionals, and we're also going to talk about transition services for students with disabilities. The main goal and purpose of the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation is to serve individuals with disabilities that result in a substantial impediment to employment. Every service that we do, every person that comes in, they have a substantial disability to be, excuse me, a substantial disability that affects their employment in some kind of way. And our goal is to assist that individual in achieving their employment goals. Some of the services that we provide include career counseling, job training, job placement, assistive technology, and accommodations. Excuse me, some of the basic information about vocational rehab. VR is an eligibility program. It is not an entitlement program. That's one of the areas that I wanted to really focus on today, leading into the post-secondary education services for students heading to college. Just because a person has a disability doesn't automatically equate college assistance. So there are a lot of people out there who may think that that is the process. However, it is not. And I don't want you to go into services thinking, okay, I'm going to receive something. It is an eligibility program, and there is a process to obtaining those services. Once a person has completed an application for services, we have 60 days to determine the eligibility. VR is not an emergency service provider. So if you come in needing something done immediately, we may not be the agency for you. So you may have to go somewhere else to require services. Although our services are not meant to be long term, you may need support somewhere else. So we will work to identify other alternatives and provide referrals for those other services. You may ask, are VR services right for me? Um, if you want to work, then yes, VR services are right for you. Do you have a disability that makes it difficult for you to work? Yes, VR is right for you. Do you want to become employed to the best of your ability? Yes, vocational rehab is right for you. You require specific services to become employed. You've come to the right place. Vocational rehab is the place for you. And are you willing to follow through and be responsible for your own progress towards employment? Yes, VR services are right for you. VR or vocational rehabilitation is not appropriate for you if you don't want to work. Once again, the whole scope of vocational rehab and what we do is about helping a person to meet their fullest potential gain. So if you don't want to work, then we may have to again work with you to find something that's better suited for you. If you do not have a disability, then VR services are not for you. Again, you have to have a disability to be eligible for vocational rehab services. And if you do not want VR to help document this VR, if you want VR to help document disability for the purpose of obtaining benefits, then VR is not for you. Excuse me, as as we all have responsibility, these are some of the responsibilities that we ask of our clients and or our consumers to keep all scheduled appointments. We know that days are busy, everybody has something to do. So it is imperative that you keep that appointment so that your case can progress so that you can meet your end result. Um, we want you to stay involved in the entire process from eligibility to case closure. It is a team approach. It's not a one-sided thing. So if you come in requesting services, then everybody has their role to play. We want you to ask questions and you make your wishes known. If you don't ask those questions, then we don't know. We don't assume anything. We want to make sure that you are aware of what's going on and voice your concerns or let your wishes be known to your counselor. We want you to keep your VR counselor informed of all changes, whether it's your phone number, your address, changes in your disability status, whatever the case may be. It is imperative that you keep that counselor aware of what's going on so that they can keep that case file updated. And also make your counselor aware when you're applying for jobs and if employment is secure, because that's their end result is employment. If you need assistance with applying for jobs, we can help you with that as well. The VR process at a glance. It starts with the referral or initial contact. Staff member or counselor has 14 days to make contact after referral is received. Um, to make contact with the referral, then the application process is done where a meeting is held to complete the application for vocational rehab services. The counselor will have 60 days to determine eligibility, where we gather all the necessary documentation, whether it's medical records that you already have on file, or we may have to send you to the doctor to get that documentation. So that time is allowed to get that eligibility determined. The next step after reviewing the eligibility and making a person eligible, we'll sit down with you, develop a plan or active services. This is the agreement between the client and the counselor. Um, After services have been provided, then we're looking at employment. Um, and after a person has worked for 90 days, then that case is closed as successful. So from referral to closure, that is the process of VR services. The OVR application process, anyone can make a referral. I know today's topic is about students heading to college. A referral can be a self-referral. A referral can be made by a family or friend. And in this situation, a lot of our referrals are going to come from the schools, mental health or mental health care provider, case manager, etc. The intake process is assigned to a VR counselor, and the counselor will contact the individual to set up an appointment to complete an application for services. During the application, the client, the referral, will meet with the counselor, complete the application, and sign a release to obtain the documents to determine eligibility, whether it's going to be your medical records or records from the school, whatever documentation that is needed to help us to determine eligibility for services. That's where their release is going to be. That information is obtained from that release. Um, OBR eligibility. Once again, in order to meet eligibility for VR services, an individual has to have a physical or mental impairment that results in substantial impediment to employment. When we're talking about students, there are a multitude of disabilities that can interfere with them being successful. So we have to, take that into consideration. That is one of the most important things, that there has to be a physical or mental impairment. Um, Examples: difficulty learning tasks without extra assistance. Impairment causes social skill issues that lead to job problems, difficulty meeting production expectation. Impairment makes it difficult to develop an appropriate goal without assistance. Eligibility continued. Um, the individual has to require VR services to prepare for, secure, retain, advance in, or regain competitive integrated employment that is consistent with their strengths, resources, priorities, concerns, abilities, capabilities, interests, and informed choice. So, having said all of that, we do have to take into consideration all of those unique things about the individual. And I can't stress enough that VR services are required to regain, secure, and advance in competitive integrated employment. Um, will who will benefit from VR services? An individual who is eligible for Social Security benefits under Title II or Title 16 of the Social Security Act is presumed eligible for vocational rehabilitation services. So anyone who, once again, they're already receiving benefits on their own disability, they're automatically eligible or presumed eligible for vocational rehab services. And they still have to have that desire to go to work. The vocational rehabilitation counselor will work with you to guide and counsel you through the VR process. Once again, we will collect existing information, acquire new information as needed, evaluate the results, and determine eligibility. If eligible, work together with the individual to write an individualized plan for employment. The IPE is very crucial in vocational rehab services. It is basically the contract between the client and the counselor, and it outlines those steps in order to get you to that goal. Um, it identifies a specific vocational goal. That's why we ask for those records. We complete any assessments that are necessary, and a lot of times, even with dealing with students, they may not know what their employment goal or their vocational goal is, and we use assessments, test scores, any type of assessments that have been done to help a person to reach their vocational goal or to select a specific goal. The IPE outlines the next steps and time frames. Although, services do take time, we do have to set forth the time. We can't spend a whole lot of time, on one particular area. We have to, move forward to show progress. Identify necessary services, training, and supplies, and identify accommodations and modifications. Excuse me. Informed choice. This is a very important part of it. Throughout the vocational rehab process, the client has um, informed choice. That is their right to choose the services that they're going to be seeking, the services that that are needed to help them reach their employment goal. And so during the process, the counselor is going to work with you to identify informed choice. And once again, it is that client's right um, in making their decisions towards their case or their services. And informed choice is the consumer's empowerment is a primary consideration in the provision of services. Each VR service, whether we purchase it, provide it, or it is arranged, must be associated with the agreed upon employment goal established in the IPE. Um, so we would not just, provide services that are not, you know, once again, we're looking at students transitioning from high school to employment or to college. So, for example, we wouldn't provide services that had nothing to do with schooling, basically. And services may be provided directly by the VR counselor, coordinated with other VR staff, or through a third party provider. There are many avenues and service providers that we can work with. Some examples of vocational rehab services include counseling and guidance, which is the key service that we provide for all of our clients, whether it is guiding them to making the right choice or offering counseling, helping them to stick to a medical regimen or getting them the information that they need to be successful. Counseling and guidance is crucial in every case that we serve. We also offer job placement assistance and work adjustment training, college or vocational training, supported employment services, skills training or on the job training, physical restoration, which may include surgeries, hearing aids, um, just a plethora of services, transportation, interpreter, translator services, assistive and rehabilitation technology, and referral services. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Aricia, who is our transition coordinator. She's going to talk about those services that are essential to help a person who's headed to college. We're trying to stress the importance of transit pre-employment services as well as transit, which are transition services. And this, listening to her, you'll see the importance of it. We try to capture students before they exit high school because those pre-employment services are once again they're vital in helping a person to select an employment goal, to select a career field, to talk about the services and all of those things. So, Arisi, I'm going to turn it over to you so that you can talk about those transition services that could lead up into post-employment, post-secondary education. I'm sorry.
Hello, everyone. So yes, with transition services, we like to start working with our students as early as possible. So definitely targeting the schools and working in the schools closely with you all is our most important thing that we like to do, because we feel like if we get them early, then we can start these services early and that they will be better prepared when they get ready to transition into the world of work. So of course, like Ms. Tamika said, we start with the students at the age of 14, and we continue to work with them all through middle school and high school, depending on where they're at the age of 14. And we work with them until they are successfully transitioned into whatever their employment goal is. Basically what Tamika was explaining to you all, when we do a plan, we start that plan with them and we work however we need to get them to that employment goal. Some of the services that we can provide under transition and youth services, we can do assessments. So sometimes our students, they may not, know exactly what they want to do, what they actually need. So we can do different type of assessments on them to determine what their needs is, what their goals is, what their interest is, and what they may need to be able to become successful. We provide assistive technology. Depending on the disability, there may be various things that they need to be able to be successful. For example, they may need some type of speaking device, or if they have any kind of communication barriers, hearing aid devices, different things like that, we can provide for them. Home modifications or even driving vehicle modifications, all of that falls under that assistive technology. Job search skills. This is a big thing because we know a lot of our students, they don't have any type of experience. And if they have some, it's very limited into their community. So we definitely help them with job search skills, technical assistance, on the job training. This is a big thing too, because we provide those work-based learning experiences to them. And so we want them to be able to gain some work skills, so that they can have some type of knowledge and skills on what they want to do. Because a lot of time our students, they don't exactly know what they want to do. They just know something that they may be interested in, but don't know all the things that come with it. Job readiness training, supportive employment. Those are for our students who may need a little bit more on support services, I'm sorry, that may need a little bit more wraparound services. Post-secondary education, which is, it could vary from career and technical programs to an academic or post 4-year college, I'm sorry. Job placement, internship, and apprenticeships. Then these are just a few of our services, but we look at every one of our students and we individualize them based off what they may need. Now, one of the first things that we do want to offer to our students, and that is why we say this is such an importance that we get the students while they're in high school, is we offer pre-employment transition services. And there are 5 categories under the pre-employment transition services. The 5 are listed is job exploration counseling, work-based learning experiences, workplace readiness training, counseling on post-secondary education and training opportunities, and instruction in self-advocacy. The first one, job exploration counseling. Oh, I'm sorry. That's fine. Go ahead. No, you go ahead. I'll follow with it because it's probably gonna come up later. I'm sorry. Um, the potentially eligible is, well, let me explain this. So the first step, if you have a student that you feel like will benefit from our program and they definitely would need those pre-ed services as they're getting ready to transition into going to college, or either if they're going straight into work, we ask that you all complete a pre-employment transition service referral form. This form must be completed by the school as well as with the parent, just simply saying that the parent is agreeing that they are interested in their child participating in these services, and then you're agreeing that they are a student with a disability that is currently enrolled in your school district. So that's why we require both the school personnel and the parent to fill out this form. Once this form is completed and signed by all parties, you will submit it to the address that's listed, the VR transition services at mdrs.ms.gov. From there, what we do is we enter the referral in our state office, and then we assign it to the counselor that serves that school district. So we have transition counselors who are assigned to all of the school districts in the state of Mississippi. If for some reason there's a vacancy in that area, then it's assigned to that district manager that covers that school district. So we make sure that the actual referral is assigned to someone, and we notify you all to let you know who the referral is assigned to. So you have some type of form of contact to say, okay, I want to check on my student that I referred. You'll have a name to know who actually has that referral. Once the counselor receives that referral, they'll contact the student and the parent to discuss our services, and they'll talk about pre-ed services and see if they need anything else. And from there, they begin opening up what is called a potentially eligible case so that they can receive those pre-ed services. If there's additional services they need, such as assisting with college, then we will proceed with opening up for them to apply for services and then open up what we call a vocational rehabilitation case. And from there, we'll have to do the whole process of determining eligibility and doing a plan so we can add any additional services. A potentially eligible student, this is something where if what I was explaining, that if they need additional services, they would need to complete that VR application. And we actually can do a comprehensive assessment to determine all the things that they may need. We'll have to obtain whatever their disability is. We'll have to obtain those records to determine that they do indeed have a disability and that it is an impediment to employment. And then from there, we would meet with the student and the parent, and we would do a plan to add any services that they may need so that they can be successful in their employment goal. So each case is individualized. Some students may need more, some students may need different things. And so no case is the same, no plan is the same, because it really depends on that student, their employment goal, and what they need to be successful. The things that we would need in order for us to determine eligibility, we would need the assessment team report, the comprehensive evaluation report. This is something provided by the school. We would need the current reevaluation report, and that reevaluation report must be dated within the last 3 years. We would need the current IEP. And it must show that the student actually has a transition goal. And the reason this is because everything we do is based off an employment. So if they don't show that they're actually working towards going to college, going to work, then it's hard for us to make that decision if we're the actual agency that they need. So we always want to look at that transition page, and make that decision if they are trying to actually have a transition goal and have a plan to go to work. We would need any type of medical or psychological records if they have a mental or a physical condition. So if these things like this varies based off of if the student, depending on what the student disability is, that'll determine what information we would need from that school district. And because we have a MOU with every school district in the state of Mississippi, that allows us to be able to collaborate with you all so that you all can release those records to us once the student and the parent decides they do want to sign up for services. You want me to proceed, Tamika?
Oh, I was going to just pause and see if there's anyone had any questions right now in the chat box. Shannon, if you don't mind, just go back to the last slide. I'm going to talk about autism just a little bit later. Are there any questions?
No questions have come through at this point.
Okay. The reason why, and going back to what I said, I wanted to get the foundations of vocational rehab, the process, as well as transition services and how they lead up to post-secondary education services. I'm going to now go into post-secondary education services and talk about it. That information is not presented in any slides today. We are currently updating this information. There's a lot of information that is out in the field that is incorrect. And so what we're trying to do at this point is to, excuse me, once again, update our records, as well as make sure that we get the right information out in the field. In terms of post-secondary education services, for example, someone came in on yesterday and he talked about the VR scholarship. It is not a scholarship. It is actually sponsorship. And again, you have to meet eligibility for services. Um, as Arisa just said, post-secondary education, whether it is at a 2-year university, a 4-year university, or a technical program, we can offer assistance in that. Once the client has met eligibility, we can offer assistance there. Through those transition services, again, it is very important, and we would love to have all of our clients to at least participate in at least 4 or 5 of those pre-ed services to help us in getting them ready for post-secondary education training. Because it's going to help them once again identify their goals, identify their strengths, even their weaknesses, things that people don't even think about. The counsel can bring that out of the client, and when we miss that part of it, it may show up later, may not show up at all, but overall, I think it's very advantageous for an individual to receive pre-ed services before going to college. Um, it's just, you know, um, it's just beneficial. Um, when a person does go to college, we can offer assistance for support services. If you have during the process, as far as coming in and discussing what you're needing and how your disability affects you, we can identify those support services that may be necessary for you. Um, whether you need some type of assistive technology device to help on campus to help alleviate the barrier between that disability and the person being successful on campus, we can offer that. Another service that we can offer is reader services for the client. Our services go hand in hand with the school. The school is the primary responsibility for providing services. We encourage all of our clients to go to the student support offices and sign up to identify that they are an individual with a disability. Because once again, that is that school's responsibility. Vocational rehab can go above and beyond the school, go above if the school, cannot provide fully to help that client. We can offer additional assistance. We can do tutorial services for a client who is in need of just a little bit of extra guidance as far as their classes are concerned. We can do that for up to 20 hours a month. Excuse me, we can offer note taker services for individuals who may need a note taker. We also have interpreter services available, whether it's sign language or native language. One service that I met with Mr. Steve Allen with Peer Mentoring Works on last week is peer mentoring. And that is a service that's beneficial to any entering freshmen who are at the, who are having difficulty, or someone who is on the verge of failing or dropping out of school. We're trying to get peer mentoring in all of our colleges and universities. And what that is just a one-on-one support for that student to help them to be successful on campus. They can do different things as, work with them with their schedules, identify social activities on campus, encouraging them to talk to their advisor. It's just a peer is just what it is, a peer. And that program has been successful. Currently, we have peer mentoring services available at Southern, Mississippi State, Northeast, and now we have Jackson State that's aboard. Additionally, if a person has become eligible for services, we can look at offering assistance with possibly with tuition, dorm, books, meals, tools, required materials, as well as transportation. However, we do have to consider any type of federal aid that the student may be getting, any other grants or awards. Those have to be applied first, and then vocational rehab can pay. So we do have to take that into consideration. We in addition to not just that, Shannon, is the next slide, please. As far as when a person go into college, some of the next few slides are going to talk about some of the other offices that we have with vocational rehab, and one of them, as far as autism clinic, we have a contract with Mississippi State Autism Clinic, and peer mentoring services on that campus. Currently, if I'm not mistaken, Aricia, April is serving in that capacity on April Christian until we get a new coordinator for that. Our current director, Dr. Jennifer Jackson, she served in the autism coordinator position until being promoted to director. She has that is where her heart is with autism. We work with students with autism. And having, those individuals, they require a little bit more, in terms of what I have seen lately. The school part is one thing, but are we really helping them to be successful? Have we addressed the social awkwardness, those those things that are limiting them from being successful? Those are the issues that I'm seeing. But that's one of the areas that, as far as like with college, the autism, we do have staff that will work with them to get the training to receive, the work that they need. Once again, that link there is about services for individuals with autism, and our coordinator, Ms. April Christian. She is the coordinator for autism as well as our support employment coordinator. And we would like to congratulate her on recently being selected as the client director. Arisa, what is that title?
Director of Client
Yes,
Services.
thank you. So, like I said, until that position is filled, she's going to work in all those capacities. We do have a division of deaf and hard of hearing. We have clients who do have deaf and hard of hearing. They can receive services at Hines Community College. We have a counselor who works specifically with those clients who are hard of hearing. We have counselors, rehabilitation counselors for the deaf who work for clients who who are deaf. And they work one-on-one with them to get them the education that they need to be successful. Our program coordinator is Danae Smith. She is located in Madison, and her information is there for those individuals who are in need of those services. Like I said, they are, going through the process. They could probably benefit or can benefit from post-secondary education training services. We have a division for the blind. Ms. Dorothy Young, she's a director. And we do have managers in the North and the South who work with individuals who have visual impairments or who are blind. In addition, their services do not differ from any of the other services that we talk about. They're eligible for transition services, post-secondary education services, going through that, the vocational rehab process. So we do have that division that's available for anyone who has visual impairment. And the information that's on your screen now is our contact information. These are not all of the departments at vocational rehab. If there's any specific information that you need, you can reach out to myself or Aricia. Once again, Dr. Jennifer Jackson, she's our OBR director. She's been in her role now for just a few months. She's done an outstanding job so far. Um, it's been challenging, I'm pretty sure, starting out in this role. Our presenter, Miss Aricia Brown, any transition questions that you have, you can reach out to her. Post-secondary issues, you can reach out to me, as well as April. April also serves as our support employment council coordinator. I'm sorry. So she deals with those individuals who have those significant disabilities. Not to leave those out. That brings up a good point. We do have services available for individuals with intellectual disabilities, such as, we have clients that go to the Rise to the Top at University of Southern Mississippi, as well as Access at Mississippi State. So I don't want to leave those clients out as well. They have the opportunity to participate on campus. They go, for the 4 years. They have to be eligible or to be able to do their activities of daily living. They're on campus. They're working with peers who are, showing them around. They're working in different areas. They're learning those skills to be successful. At the end of their program, they walk across the stage with their cap and gown. They get their certificate of completion, and then they go home and go back to work. Our information is on the screen. Our P.O. Box 1698, Jackson, Mississippi, and our phone numbers are there. So just feel free to reach out to us if you have any questions about any services or post-secondary education services in general. But, like I said, just to reiterate what we have talked about today, it is crucial, and I think it's very important that anyone who's interested in post-secondary education services, we strongly recommend that you sign up for those transition services. They will help you. You can identify different things. There's job extravaganzas going on, different services that will benefit a person. We not only, look at just paying for a person to go to school, but we're preparing them for a career once they've completed those services. So with that, Shannon, I think I'm done. Aricia, do you have anything you want to add?
No, I don't have anything I want to add
Okay.
at the moment.
Thank you.
Hey, did we have any questions in the chat? I'm not sure I see any. No. Okay, well, thank you for giving us all of your contact info. For sure, I'm sure people will be reaching out, for their individual student needs. I know that we here at Get to College have heard, questions about your services that you provide. So I'm sure students will be and counselors will be reaching out. So thank you all for this great information today. And just wanted to do a little bit of wrap up. So today was our 7th session of our Topic Tuesday series. So stay tuned for our next Topic Tuesday webinar, which will be on Tuesday, March the 4th. And during that webinar, you will hear from a panel about best practices for college and career fair planning. So I know you all will be anxious to begin your planning, even if it's for next fall, and this panel will have a lot of great advice for you. We will continue this webinar series throughout the rest of the spring semester, and if you participate in 5 webinars, you'll have the opportunity to apply for 0.5 CEUs, and if you've participated in all 10 webinars by the end of May, you will have the opportunity to apply for 1 full CEU. The remaining webinars for the spring semester in April, we'll be talking about advising students post-affirmative action. And on May the 6th, we'll be talking about supporting student parents. So these webinars are listed under the educator header, and then select Topic Tuesday under the events section. While you're there, check out all the other resources for you and your students listed under that educator tab. We got a lot of resources there. And then in addition to the remaining Topic Tuesdays, we have a few more since we're rounding out kind of the spring semester here. We've got a few more training opportunities for educators that we hope you'll register for. First of all, I guess this is next week. We're already in the middle of February by next week. We have one last virtual FAFSA 101 training. So these are going to be all your basics of helping students complete a FAFSA. So this is your 101 training. We're actually going to be doing this on Thursday, February 13th, and it's going to be an afternoon session this time. It's going to be from 1 to 3:30. So if you have not had the chance to jump on with one of our virtual FAFSA 101 trainings, we encourage you to do that because this will be the last virtual training for the school year. And then one other opportunity is our virtual FAFSA 201 training. So 201 is going to be scenario based. It's going to kind of piggyback off that knowledge that you learned in 101. It's best if you've attended a FAFSA 101 before you attend the FAFSA 201. But if you haven't had the opportunity to do so, don't let that deter you because you will still learn a lot in that 201. Like I said, it's situational based, and we'll be taking case studies and kind of talking about what you would do with this particular case study. So that's Wednesday, February the 19th, and that is our last 201 training of the year, and that is a morning session. So we hope y'all will join us for these final sessions. And again, that's under the educator tab. So as always, feel free to contact us on any of our social media platforms or on our email, and we will be glad to answer any questions that you have for us. So thanks again for being here, Tamika and Aricia, and we look forward to seeing everyone again in our March. It's not April yet, Shannon. In our March Topic Tuesday. So thank y'all so much, and we appreciate y'all being here. And we will see everyone in March. See you soon.